Greetings and salutations. I'm putting my microphone directly in front where you like it, Derek. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. We are fresh off of a return visit from Lou Malnati's where Derek's wish came true and we cut a ribbon of a grand opening in Avon.
We did.
What is that?
Two best friends, one pair of scissors.
No. Nope. Not how it was done.
Had a great time.
What? Why are you biting your lip?
I wasn't biting my lip. I was just doing the scissors motion. Grand opening at Avon, great time.
Okay.
It really, Jake, helped me forget, and we'll talk plenty more about Lou's and the grand opening, helped me forget about what was, what word do you want to use? Catastrophic? Disastrous? It was not a good NCAA tournament weekend if you are a men's basketball fan. Certainly of Indiana, but especially, I think, of Purdue with the way that those two teams went out.
You know, it's interesting because you have two teams, I think we talked about last week, Derek, that it felt like Indiana had potential to go further in the tournament, that maybe their ceiling would be higher, but their consistency was not,
Yep.
Indiana got, and I get it. It's worse to lose to far. I get it. There's no comparison between the opponents. Indiana got blown off the floor, and Indiana looked like they didn't want to be there. Purdue looked scared.
Yeah.
Purdue got down, and I so often in sports, Derek, I think that we as fans or as media members or whatever it might be, we get tense, we get involved, and usually the performers, that's not the case. They're used to it. They're out there, they're playing. Purdue looked like a team about 5.5 or 6 minutes left in that game where as people are starting to murmur, oh my gosh, here's a number one seed that's down, to Fairleigh Dickinson, I've heard of Fairleigh Dickinson. They've been in the tournament before, but that's about the only time I've ever even heard of the school.
Of course.
And, the players looked like they were looking at the clock like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And you don't usually see that out of the players.
And they were apprehensive about shooting. Mason Gillis looked like he didn't want to take the shot. Fletcher Lawyer, I don't think, wanted to take the shot. It was tough to watch. Really, it was difficult to watch if you were emotionally invested in Purdue, which I kind of am. I want to see Indiana and Purdue both do well. I have my foot kind of in both camps. But a niche of Boiled Sports, he does the podcast with those guys. They're crazy Purdue fans. He said it best, I think. All you have to do if you're Fairleigh Dickinson or any one of these teams, all you have to do is get it to the 5-minute mark and just have it be stupid enough where it's still stupid at 5 minutes and then more stupid stuff can happen. And that's exactly what happened, right? All they had to do was keep it competitive to the 5-minute mark, and that's what they did. And you saw it in the final. What did Purdue go? The final 6.5 minutes, or that stretch, from the 7:30 mark to the 1:30 mark, Purdue didn't score.
Where Purdue erred. And by the way, I should have said this right off the top. This is Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. And thank you so much to Bailey & Wood, the presenting sponsor of Query and Schultz, who have been loyal to us and loyal to those people in central Indiana where they are philanthropically involved, of course, and making sure also that you are getting the best mortgage rates for your home. Derek, their website is?
BAWFG.com.
BAWFG.com. Also, we are inside the Lou Malnati studio, which we now know, Derek, officially speaking, has a new location.
It is 5 now, Central Indiana locations. 5. Avon,
I should do that.
Greenwood,
my hands are bigger than yours.
West 86th Street,
the 5.
Broad Ripple,
5.
And who am I missing? Carmel.
With your hands, it looks like 2.5.
I do have smallish hands, but more compact fist for ultimate power.
Yeah.
So if
like
you want to,
like when I showed up at your bachelor party and you were shadowboxing in the alley.
That never happened. But if you want to F around, you can find out sometime.
Okay.
You've never wanted to find out.
I thought, so back to what we were talking about there, now I can't even remember what I was saying actually, about
we were just talking about how, Purdue was tense and you get into stupid time and stupid stuff can happen. And
yeah, this is where I think you and I are going to disagree. And I'm not trying to carry water for Purdue or whatever. And it's sad that we're actually having this aspect of debate. But that is not the worst loss in NCAA tournament history. The worst loss in NCAA tournament history was when Virginia was, what were they? They were a 30-win team. They were either 31-1 or 31-2. And Virginia was the number 1 overall seed in the tournament. and they were going against UMBC, who I'd never even heard of, quite frankly.
Yeah, they were 35-2.
I mean,
they were number 2 in the AP poll,
and they were
Purdue was 3.
But they were the number 1 seed overall, were they not?
I don't think they were the number 1 overall seed, but they were a number 1 seed. Let me check to be absolutely sure about that.
I'm pretty certain they were the number 1 overall seed.
Let me look.
In 2018, right?
Yes.
And they got blown off the floor by UMBC. They were tied at the half. They came out in the second half and got
They weren't competitive. Yeah.
They got outscored by 20 points and a half against UMBC. And then UMBC turned around a week, 2 days later and lost to Kansas State, I think it was. But to me, that was it because of Virginia was so dominant. Purdue had a great year, but I don't know that you would say Purdue was nationally dominant. Virginia was the front runner to win the NCAA tournament, in most people's opinion. And they got absolutely humiliated. Fairleigh Dickinson, at least I'd heard of. Fairleigh Dickinson has some tournament history. I think they've only been a few times, but I've heard of them. And Purdue, while they were a number 1 seed, they kind of limped their way the last 6 weeks of the year. And I thought what Fairleigh Dickinson did, which was basically to say, we know Zach Edey can beat us, and we're going to try to deny getting him the ball, but we're going to – if you want to shoot Mason Gillis, if you want to shoot Fletcher Lawyer, you want to shoot Braden Smith, have at. And it worked. They made it difficult to get the ball into Zach Edey, but then otherwise they didn't contest the shooters. And they let those guys try to beat them, and they couldn't.
Virginia was the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to argue with you that Virginia team was absolutely better than this Purdue team. I think anybody would say the same thing. But really, for all intents and purposes, Fairleigh Dickinson is one of the 50 worst teams in America. Just given the level that they play and the fact that they were swept by Sacred Heart this year. They were 302nd in the net ratings. UMBC was a top 200 team. The AEC is a better conference. The NEC the Northeast Conference had never won a round of 64 game until this game. They were the only conference to have never won before. I've been, Jake, Sacred Heart was 5 minutes from my house. My buddy Stolman, who you met before at my bachelor party, he didn't try to fight you, but the other guy, the more friendly guy. We used to go to those games. It was free to get in. And they would maybe draw like 200 people. If you're an Indiana high school basketball fan, you would be stunned at the gyms that these college teams, Division I college teams, play in. They are like 1A gyms, not even.
Right.
And it is the lowest of low level Division I basketball. If you were there just watching, you would think that it was Division II.
And I'm not excusing Purdue. Simply trying to explain. But Fairleigh Dickinson, with their coach, who Nick Yeoman pointed out, and it's a great call, is the Tom Allen of college basketball coaches. It's very excitable.
He's a little bit of a doofus. Good for him, but yeah.
Somebody said I look like him.
Ooh, I don't think that's a compliment.
That's totally. And I don't look like him, do I?
No.
Yeah,
I didn't think that at all.
Thank you. But he has won national championships at the Division II level, and I know it's Division II. But that's what – you could look at Fairleigh Dickinson and be like, they only won 4 games last year. They completely revamped that roster.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
So I think you could make the argument that the course of the season they were still, it's a roster that was rebuilt, so they're still over the course of the year. That's their learning time to get to know one another.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought they looked good against Florida Atlantic.
I think they did, and usually teams like FDU get stomped in the next game. Correct. They didn't get stomped, so good for them. Look at what happened to Furman or anybody else. Right. A lot of times you get stomped the next game. It's just, Jake, I think you would agree with this. There is a level of randomness to the NCAA tournament. It is a very cruel way to determine a champion. But losing in the second round to FAU is defensible. Losing to Miami is defensible.
Indiana got blown out, though.
Losing to Fairleigh Dickinson, an NEC team that wasn't even really the automatic qualifier. They were in by default and had to be in the play-in round. It's just not a defensible loss.
Now, I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying, here's the thing.
Now, I'll defend Matt Painter, and I'll do all that because I think that the talks about firing Matt Painter, it's absolutely absurd. It's ridiculous. And I hate flushing 4 months of really good basketball for a bad 40 minutes, right? I mean, Purdue had a successful year. They're a victim of their own success, aren't they?
What's interesting is, Derek, for Indiana and Purdue, if you were to evaluate which one had the better year, there's a yin and yang all the way over on both sides.
Yeah.
Purdue, okay? wins the Big Ten by multiple games. Indiana swept Purdue. Purdue wins the Big Ten tournament. Indiana wins a tournament game. Purdue loses to Fairleigh Dickinson in a game where they were tight as can be. Indiana plays dead. Indiana looked like a team in the last 5 minutes of that game that wanted to be. Indiana looked in the last 5 minutes of that game like I look at 9:30 when Shannon gets the remote and takes it over and puts it on Bravo, right?
It was a 25-point loss disguised as a 15-point loss.
Correct.
I mean,
and they had no interest in being there at the end.
They had a 10-0 run in the first half, and then they had a 13-0 run that bridged the two halves. Outside of that, they got their ass kicked all night.
Right.
Like they were dominated. Everyone was like, oh my God, are they down 5 at halftime? If you watched that first half, you would think that they were down 15. It was a miracle that they were down that much. So I agree with you that it was not a good Indiana performance. Here's where I have a little bit of a problem, and I'm not trying to speak out of both sides of my mouth here. I don't think it's fair to judge Indiana on what their preseason expectations were because of the injuries. The Xavier Johnson injury was critical. So was Race. Say what you want about Race Thompson. Indiana had no depth. So you lose 2 frontline players. That was, I think, part of the struggles. But, I saw some people on Twitter last night trying to paint this as some sort of like massive step forward for the program. I don't think that either. I think Indiana had an okay year. I think Indiana made progress. But Indiana made progress in the prism of you were better than a team that beat a Mountain West team in Dayton, Ohio last year. Progress. Like Indiana was swept by Iowa. They were swept by Penn State. They were swept by Northwestern. They won both games against Purdue, and they finished third in the league. They were a loss
in the Mountain West?
Oh, I don't know. Are they now?
In the WAC?
Did they move? I thought they were a Mountain West team.
Are they in the WAC?
I thought they were in the Mountain West, but maybe
Can you
they moved.
look that up? Are you sure?
I'll look it up. Yeah.
Do you want to wager?
I'll check it out. Well, you're more of a Wyoming expert than I am. One of the Western Conference's teams in Dayton, Ohio. Like I don't think that Indiana did anything spectacular at all this year. They had a great 12-game stretch.
They swept Purdue.
They had a great 12. Well, does the regular season matter or not, Jake?
Right. You're right.
Right? Oh,
now,
the Big Ten. Hey, the Big Ten regular season doesn't matter. The Big Ten tournament doesn't matter. Oh, hey, but we swept you guys. Well, what is it then? Does it matter or does it not matter? That's kind of my whole problem with this whole discussion here is that Indiana fans. We
Are you over caffeinated?
No, yes, actually, but that's not why I'm acting like this. In sports, and this just drives me crazy about the 21st century, we can't appreciate anything anymore because we put all of our eggs into, did you win the championship or didn't you? Because if you didn't, you suck. And your season sucks and you should be ashamed of yourself, and LOL, I'm going to dunk on you on social media. Like that's the whole sports fan existence right now. Everyone sucks. Everything you did doesn't matter. And then, part of me is like, why are you paying to go to games? Why are you cheering? Why do you care? If the regular season doesn't matter, why did you get loaded at Knicks and spend 4 hours pregame there?
Knicks was closed.
And then go to the Maryland game, Saturday night at 5:30 and cheer.
How does Knicks close
and lose
for
your
that
voice?
game? You know that, right?
Yeah, you couldn't have just. I'm sure the workers could have, give them overtime pay or something, right?
Now, I was at the Pacer game Saturday. I want to show you this. I want to see what you think of this. I was at the Pacer game on Saturday. Keep in mind, not Friday when the game was, but Saturday.
Your microphone's like in your forehead. I was at the Pacers game on Saturday.
That's what happens when you're over 5'6".
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I was at the Pacers game here. Like, what are we doing? This is a professional television studio, a professional show. Please act like a professional.
Okay. These guys were at the Pacer game. This is in the food area. I just want you to tell me what you think of this.
Yeah, they got candy stripe pants on.
That's embarrassing. These guys are wearing pajamas. Okay, they're at the. IU ain't playing.
I wouldn't wear them, but they're fans. They're into their team. Like whatever.
But if you're that into your team that you're willing to wear their pajamas when you go to a basketball game that's professional on Saturday and they're not even playing, then you should expect your team to have the same enthusiasm when they actually have a game on Sunday. Instead, they went out there, looked lazy, looked incompetent, looked like they didn't care. They didn't have any interest in what was going on, aside from Trace Jackson-Davis, who's a wonderful talent. The rest of the team went out there, sleptwalked their way through it, and got their ass kicked.
I'm just mad that.
Thank you for showing up.
I'm mad that now Purdue's season doesn't matter, and Trace Jackson Davis, what he did doesn't matter because they didn't. Trace Jackson Davis only won 2 NCAA tournament games. Come on, like he is objectively one of the best players in Indiana history. It's not his fault that half of his career was with Archie Miller. That's not his fault.
Well, he agreed to go there.
Well, yeah, but I mean the circumstances. You are sometimes a victim of the circumstances around you. But
Indiana's roster, Derek, next year. I mean, Purdue at least, and we can get more into this, huh?
I'm just in a bad mood.
Well, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm just.
But Indiana's roster next year, Trace Jackson Davis, one would assume is not going to return.
He's gone. Yeah.
Well, I know he has said he is, but do they come back and he says, Jalen Hood-Schifino,
likely gone.
I would be stunned if he returns. Okay, Miller Kopp is gone.
Yep. Race Thompson had his 17th year of eligibility.
Race Thompson's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Then between these 4 players, I'm going to guesstimate that 2 of these 4 transfer. Jordan Geronimo, right? Caleb Banks.
Tamar
Bates, who just missed another shot. And C.J. Gunn. So then who you rolling with? Malik Renew, okay? Who are your guards? The kid out of Ohio that everybody acts like is the next Damon Bailey?
Yeah. Is that
Gabe Cupps?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to have to really hit the portal.
I mean, Indiana may not make the tournament next year.
Well, Xavier Johnson's coming back too, right?
I said.
Yeah. Well, he was an important player for that. He could have really helped him against Miami.
What I'm excited about next year is when Xavier Johnson and Tamar Bates are teammates and they go a combined 7 for 36.
Well, yeah, look, it's going to have to be a portal year.
Tamar Bates was 0 for 6 in the opener, right? Mm-hmm. He was 0 for 7 in the second round. That's 0 for 13 for the tournament.
Well, it's why the idea of Indiana making a Final Four run was kind of ridiculous because they had no bench. They had no bench at all. They had 5 guys. I know their rotation was technically they play 3 off the bench. They had 5 guys, Indiana. They had 5 players. It's really hard to make a tournament run and turn around after 48 hours when you got in your bed at 5 a.m. after beating Kent State to then be amped up for a Miami team that is absolutely relentless, is going to blitz you the whole way. By the way, Jim Larinaga is like one of those guys. Give me the pro equivalent of Jim Larinaga, a guy that's been awesome forever, and it's like we forget about how good he is, and he's never mentioned among the great. Yeah, like he's never mentioned among the great coaches.
Jim Larinaga is so good that if you look at places he's been, when he left a table that was set that the coach that followed him would have success for a few years and
then have to do it on his own.
And then you saw what happened once he was gone.
Yeah.
Once Larinaga's impact was done, and boom, right? Everywhere's been that's taken place.
I mean, he's an outstanding coach, no question about it. But it's disappointing. I know that I got heated there, and maybe I'm a little bit overcaffeinated in the whole thing. But it's just, I can't.
Were you out drinking Manhattan?
I
picking
can't
fights in the hotel.
Fight against the narratives forever. You know what I mean? Like at some point, if enough people believe something, then it becomes true.
I notice your favorite word is derp.
And that's just kind of where we are right now.
You use derp a lot.
I just
Did you make that word up?
It's so derp to me. Like, would Purdue have been better off just not making the tournament at all and finishing 10th in the league?
The unfortunate thing for Purdue, Derek, is they are being held, and to their credit, Purdue is being held to a standard that Purdue created.
Yeah, they're a victim of their own success.
That's exactly right.
They are probably one of the more like the 10 to 15 best teams in America this year by the end of the year, right? I mean, because a lot of the heavy lifting was done in November and December, but they were a 1 seed because they had earned that 1 seed. And I'm not excusing the Fairleigh Dickinson loss.
Derek,
it is inexcusable.
You know how you lose 3 straight years to double-digit seeds? You have to be like a 1, 2, or a 3 seed.
Well, yeah.
Indiana, which is worse? And I'm asking this rhetorically. I don't know. For you fans, which would you rather have? Would you rather have your team consistently lose to a team seated lower than you? Or would you rather, as Indiana's case, in their last 10 tournament appearances, get eliminated by double digits, which they have on average?
Or in 7 years have 1 round of 64 win to show it.
Correct.
I mean, that's essentially what Indiana has done. And Jake, look, I know we're in Indiana, right? It always turns into like an Indiana versus Purdue. I'm not even trying to turn this into an Indiana-Purdue situation. You can look at Indiana's season and see progress and success for Indiana this year. You can look at Purdue's season and absolutely see success with what they did, but everybody just wants to take the last impression and make that the determining factor for everything November, December, January, February, March, everything that happened this year, and that bothers me Because I just don't think that that's fair.
Derek, bottom line with Purdue, okay? Purdue at the beginning of the year had success and was able to build an incredible resume by getting quality wins, largely because Zach Edey was so unstoppable and teams were not expecting that because of the leaps he had made in the offseason. In addition to that, they had young players in the backcourt that were unforeseen and untested in college basketball because they were freshmen, Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith, obviously. As teams tried to figure out the newness of Zach Edey's emergence and the newness of backcourt players that they didn't have tape on, they didn't know how to guard Purdue and battle Purdue. And Purdue played really well and got out to this unbelievable resume filler. Then in the Big Ten season, once everybody came and saw them a second time, they figured out what the blueprint was against Purdue, but Purdue had built themselves a big enough cushion then. The reality is, from about Valentine's Day to the end of the year, Purdue was an above-average but not elite basketball team because Purdue teams had figured out how to guard them and what the blueprint was, and that's what did them in.
And they were in a league with a bunch of above-average teams, and you just didn't know any better.
The other thing, too, is they're in a league that doesn't have any diversity of style of play, and so as a result of that, winning in the Big Ten and coming up with a formula to do so does not translate to being able to play multiple styles in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I just think what hurts them, too, is that with Michigan State not being vintage Michigan State, certainly Ohio State not being vintage Ohio State, and Michigan being a little bit down, those are the three programs that when they've had dudes, that's when they've had title contenders.
Right.
Like when Ohio State had Evan Turner or Oden or Connolly, or Michigan had Trey Burke and guys like that. Like when those teams had dudes, they were, Gary Harris at Michigan State, etc. They were in that mix, and those teams don't really have that right now.
I noticed you have hoagie and hops over there.
I do, yeah. You ready for this?
I am.
It is National Cheesesteak Week. It's actually National Cheesesteak Day coming up.
And, by the way,
March 24th.
Right here.
Friday. 42nd and Boulevard, Hoagies and Hops, hoagiesandhops.com, National Cheesesteak Day. 15% of all food, not just cheesesteaks, all food sold on Friday goes to one of my favorite charities in the Indianapolis area, the MLK Center right in Midtown, 40th and
like
Illinois.
I'm flipping people off. I'm not really trying to do that.
No, he's just trying to show you the flyer.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, here you go, pal. And we have a Authentico cheesesteak that Christina popped in for us today. So this is delicious. Ribeye.
Oh, man, the cheese.
The South Jersey bread. Homemade whiz. Homemade Christina recipe. I don't even usually like whiz, but I like Christina's because it's great. We got some peppers on there. We got wit, so it's got onions.
Wit.
That's what you say in Philly when you want onions on it. You say cheesesteak wit.
Okay.
You haven't heard that before? Yeah. Absolutely delicious. Go in Friday, get one. Hell, go in today and get one. Go in tomorrow and get one. Eat them all week. As long as your heart's in good. Jake, you shouldn't eat them all week. But people that have, functioning hearts should go in and eat cheesesteaks all week at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and
Heart healthy. Do you have a napkin?
Yeah, I did bring napkins. Here we go. There you go, pal.
It was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Do you have our hero of the week?
Oh, yeah. Let me get that for you. Try not to eat it in the mic. I had no idea. Did you know Princeton's head coach was from Indiana? Or
Why are you getting choked up over this?
Did you know Princeton's head coach played in Indiana until 5 minutes ago?
Really?
Yeah. Mitch Henderson. There he is. Princeton's head coach.
Look at that hair. He's got great hair.
Vincennes native. Played at Culver Academy. And was the South Bend Tribune's male athlete of the year in 1994.
I know this.
Never heard of him in my life.
My friend, Meg Dinwiddie.
This would be in your wheelhouse because he's right around your age.
Meg Dinwiddie went to Culver and knows him.
Okay.
Knows people on the staff, yeah.
Anyway, he's been at Princeton for 11 years. They've won the Ivy 3 times. They've gone to the postseason 6 times. These were his first
they're good.
wins in the NCAAs. But again, Jake, like I mentioned with Fairleigh Dickinson, a lot of times what happens in these upsets, you win the first game, it's a cute story for 48 hours, you get curb stomped the next game.
Right.
Princeton not only beat Arizona, they came back and they blasted Missouri.
They did. And when Princeton
left no doubt.
When Princeton has you down 18, it's over.
Yeah, they left no doubt. I mean, they destroyed them. I'm looking for adjectives to decide it, but 47 years old. Look, I don't know would he be a candidate now at Notre Dame? Maybe with the tie-ins to the area. I mean, I don't know.
That's a good question.
You've seen that before. I know they're going after Micah Shrewsbury, but
I
good for Mitch Henderson representing the Hoosiers and Alec Pierce's little brother is on
That's right.
Princeton's team. So a couple of Indiana ties.
I saw an article somebody did where they tried to associate the enrollment application increase at Butler and George Mason, and I think like maybe even UMBC was mentioned, and how that could benefit Princeton. And I'm like,
Princeton's probably just Princeton.
do you think people are applying to Princeton because the team went to the Sweet 16?
And people have heard of Princeton. No one's heard of UMBC. I think people had heard of Butler. I don't know how many people could tell you Butler's in Indianapolis.
Princeton's a little selective, Derek.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Princeton, any of the Ivies, brand
That guy's
power
got great hair.
is really
He
strong.
looks like John Griffin.
I've been on campus at Princeton.
You've been on the campus?
Yeah. I used to see a girl down there. West Windsor High School, Princeton, New Jersey. Her name was Carly.
Where did you meet Carly from Princeton?
We met at on a summer trip. And then she lived real close to me, so I was like, I'll just take the Jersey Turnpike. So I drove down there. Summer of 01, I was driving down like every weekend down the Jersey Turnpike to see Carly in Jersey, in Princeton. I was graduating high school, and she was about to be a senior in high school. I was 18, she was 17.
Where did Carly go to college?
She went to Vanderbilt, and she is a hedge fund manager, and she lives in Miami, and she has a boat. She met another guy who looks like he's a Ralph Lauren model. He like wears a lot of, he wears like sailor's hats.
Does she post a lot on like Instagram? Things like
It's
that?
mostly her dog. She has one of those like fluffy rich people dogs. And then she has a husband that looks like he's a polo, but he's also furry like me. Like he has really good chest hair, but he's usually wearing like a yacht rock hat and like an unbuttoned shirt, and he's on the boat like doing like this. That's basically her entire Instagram.
Does she ever post pictures of herself on the boat?
Yeah.
How's the body uphill?
Yeah. I don't really want to talk. I don't want to objectify her. I did well. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I did pretty well.
Okay. I'm sure you did. Yeah.
So I've been on, long story short, I've been on campus at Princeton.
Okay.
I've been all up in that campus.
She didn't live on campus, right?
No, but we walked around. Her house wasn't that far, so we walked around and got ice cream. And yeah,
I'm sure you did.
I've been all up in there.
I'm sure you have.
Did a lot of exploring around campus at Princeton.
I believe that. Zippo zero, right?
I did.
What about Vanderbilt? You been on the Vanderbilt campus?
I have, but not with my wife.
Okay, well, there you go. All right.
With Ashley.
Which means
she doesn't watch the show.
You were not everywhere on the Vanderbilt campus,
No
right?
surprise. Shannon does not watch this show, and Ashley does not watch this show. Thank
Shannon
God.
doesn't even know we do a show.
Thank God for that.
Okay.
We'll come back and switch over. We'll have plenty more college basketball to get to with the NCAA tournament, but we'll switch over to NFL, Colts and free agency, and Gardner Minshew coming to town.
That's right.
Query and Schultz.
Derek's excited.
Don't go anywhere.
Mustache.
ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Introducing an old-fashioned that's ready to go when you are. An old-fashioned that you can make anywhere, anytime. Add 3 ounces of your favorite spirit plus one of our sugar cubes to make a consistent bar-quality old-fashioned without a mixologist. We use the finest bitters, organic crystallized brown sugar, and orange in our cubes. That's it, because that's everything the perfect old-fashioned needs. Online at yourgrandpasoldfashioned.com or on social media at YG Old Fashioned.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hi there, we're back. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. It is Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. What are you smirking about?
Not speaking about anything. I took a bite before then. I was trying to chew it and get it down my gullet. Before we started the segment. So hi, welcome back to the show. Hi, I'm Derek. And that's Jake.
Okay.
And welcome to Query and Schultz. Go ahead with your thought.
Derek, it's Colts free agency time, and that means not much happening, right?
I mean, a little bit more than normal. They signed a big kicker contract. That's more than normal, right?
Yeah.
People getting mad about that. Am I right in saying, like, who cares? It's a kicker contract. It's not like it's going to be like a $40 million cap hit or something. And you want to lock down that position. The Colts haven't had kicker stability since, 2018? Vinatieri's last good season? I mean, 2019, he was awful.
Right.
Then 2020, you had Rodrigo.
They had decent kicking last year, though. But...
Yeah, Chase was fine, but I don't know if you can... That was kind of an outlier season compared to what he's been during his career so far. So I'm fine with it. You wanted to get that out of the way. I think if you're the Colts, that you're probably going to have a limited offense here while you're indoctrinating a new head coach and a new quarterback and all of that. So you're thinking, okay, we want to maximize our point totals, right? And have kicker locked down. So I totally understand the rationale in them bringing in Matt Gay. Samson Ebukam, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is probably going to be the Yannick Ngakoue replacement, you would think. A better pass rusher, good depth behind Pay and Dio, who you're hoping are really going to hit as they continue to progress in their careers. Taven Bryan is whatever. He's a rotational defensive line guy. That's a classic Ballard signing, a big depth guy. And Minshew makes a ton of sense to me, Jake. He's played in the Shane Steichen offense. He is, I'd say, one of the 4 or 5 best backups probably in the league. And
do we know for certain he's here as the backup?
Yes, in the sense that you know for certain that the Colts are going to do something else at quarterback. They're not done at quarterback this offseason. But I think you could do a lot worse than having Gardner Minshew be your backup. I think you could do a lot worse than having Gardner Minshew be a mentor for a player coming in who already knows the offense and can show the ropes to a young rookie.
Yeah, I get why fans get eager, Derek, to see the Colts act in free agency more actively than they have. I don't know that you want to spend just to spend, but it does feel like there are a few positions, notably wide receiver, where they've just been sitting on their hands, and Paris Campbell's gone.
Yeah, for kind of a low price. That's what sort of surprised me. Like, you knew you were going to lose Okirike, right? And he signed for the amount that you knew that you had already invested a lot into your other linebacker. So you knew you were going to lose Okirike. But when I saw the Paris Campbell number, I thought, but then again, free agency is a two-way street. Paris Campbell and his agent might have been looking at it like, God, do we really want to stay here with a rookie quarterback, or do we even know who the quarterback's going to be? Whereas we go to the Giants, and the Giants look like they're ascending right now, and they have Daniel Jones, who is not as established as some other people think. I don't think that highly of Daniel Jones, but he's been there for a while, and you have Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? Like, I think you feel like you're in a ready-to-win situation more with the Giants than you are right now with the Colts.
Right.
So I can understand Paris's rationale of wanting to take that deal and wanting to leave Indy, but if I was Ballard, not that you're losing sleep over losing a third or fourth wide receiver, but Paris Campbell still had, I think, some more potential to unlock that you didn't unlock.
Yeah, that's I just feel like you are in a position for the Colts where wide receiver is one that you've got to accumulate or hold on to whatever talent you have.
Yeah,
and they haven't had much.
I mean, they re-signed Doolin, but Doolin's your fourth or fifth guy. He's there for special teams more than he is to be a receiver. Do they have anybody that can play cornerback right now?
That's the other thing,
what are they doing at corner?
Yeah. Well, the problem I have, Derek, is at the corner position, you have now created a spot that you need to fill through the draft. That there are other areas that should have prioritized in the draft, right?
Yeah.
So why create more need at the draft?
Yeah, I guess I saw it defended as, well, 5th round pick, you get something for him, whatever else. And I just thought to myself, yeah, but doesn't the Gilmore deal feel pointless? I don't really know why you feel like you had to make that trade. I mean, I understand that the Colts don't feel like their window is 2023, right? Like, okay, yeah, I know.
guess if it was if it was a money issue, that's one thing. But then where are they spending?
Yeah, but you still need good players, and again, like the cap space and all of that. I don't know. I thought when weighing the pros and cons of that deal, it just felt like it's right in the middle. I didn't feel like it was a heavy pro deal. I don't think it's the worst deal either because it's justifiable. It's defensible for the Colts to make that trade, but I don't know. I thought Gilmore was a good player last year, and I thought they could have benefited from having.
I thought he was really good.
You can't just have a bunch of 23-year-olds out there. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I thought they would have benefited from having his presence again for another year.
I thought Gilmore had a really good year. Were they doing him a solid because he wants to go
Maybe,
somewhere and win?
yeah. I mean,
maybe.
there's other stuff that's involved there. But I am excited. I mean, Ebukam is we're going to end up saying it right eventually. We knew Ngakoue because that was such an interesting pronunciation and spelling. But he's about to be 28. He's been in the league for 6 years. But he looks like a guy that is the type of guy that you get in free agency that you just hope you take a flyer and he takes off. You know what I mean?
You know what's fun? I think he is.
And you get his prime years.
He is from Liberia, correct?
Oh, I don't know.
And then you have Kwity Paye, who I believe is from Guinea, or
I thought he was Nigeria. Is he not? Is Kwity Paye not that? And then he moved to Rhode Island.
and then you have Zaire
check.
Franklin, right? Who's not from Zaire, but his name is Zaire, which is kind of fun.
Zaire's from Philly, I think.
I think that's right.
Yeah. Let me look at where
speaking of
Kwity
which,
Paye
Zaire
is from.
Franklin, I believe, has been to Hoagies and Hops.
He
right?
puts ketchup and mustard on his cheesesteak.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, the Zaire Franklin cheesesteak is ketchup and mustard, which I can't get down with. I can get down with him, but you're right, Giddy.
Yeah.
He was his parents were refugees in the Liberian Civil War.
That's what.
And that's how they ended up in the States. I didn't know that backstory, but I was spacing.
So wait a minute. So the other one, it's not Liberia where he's from. Then that I was thinking of Kwity Paye, but he is from. Can you look that up? Is it not Tanzania?
I'll look it up here. Yeah.
Nigeria?
Let me look it up. There have been a lot of great players from Nigeria.
Yeah. Matthias
There he is.
Kiwanuka was Uganda.
He is Nigeria.
Nigeria,
Samson Ebukam
That's kind of cool.
is from Nigeria.
But where do they go next? What's the next area of big need?
Well, corner. But they have, wide receiver. They've got to fill
Tight
out
end?
a depth chart. I don't know. I think you feel okay with where you are at tight end. You could always bring back Ali Cox and
I mean, they have blocking
you have
tight ends. I don't know
Branson,
if
you have Woods.
They don't have necessarily open space tight ends.
You have bodies there, though, at the very least. You need some wide offensive line depth as well. What are you going to do at right guard? There are a lot of questions for them, and the draft is going to try to put some bodies there and solve some of this. But overall, I think the Colts have done about what you expected them to do. But what's interesting to me is that the Gardner Minshew signing to me further cements that they are going to draft somebody. If they were to have traded for or gotten like Mariota or somebody, then
Do you
maybe
think they drafted at 4? Because I do.
Yeah, I do. Gun to my head, I do.
I don't think you move up for one spot. I mean,
No, and I don't think they're going to fall back for Hendon Hooker or somebody like. I don't think they're going to get cute with it. I think they're going to because I really think this, Jake. I think Irsay has given Ballard a lot of free license to do. He trusts him again, which is good. We wanted to see that, but I also think that Irsay told them, "Look, do whatever you want, but we're taking a quarterback. No more nonsense. No more garbage. No more veterans.
fair enough.
No more any of that."
It is time, by the way, for Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air Conditioning, Love Heating and Cooling. Love-HVAC.com is the website. 317-353-2141 is their telephone number. That's 317-353-2141, bringing you each and every week our favorite play of the week. And, Derek, this week we go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think this has been the moment of the tournament so far. The Virginia-Furman game, Virginia's collapsing late. I thought it was hilarious that Kihei Clark, hilarious is too harsh. Kihei Clark is the one that had the pass to Diakite to send the game into overtime against Purdue in the Elite Eight game. He was a freshman, and he had the wherewithal to retrieve a rebound with 3 seconds left at half court and make a perfect pass to a wide-open big man to hit that shot. I mean, it's an incredible play, unrepeatable play. The last pass that he's going to throw in his college career was a prayer where he was just trying to get it out of a trap, and it ended up costing them their game and their season. So, really, I mean, Clark's March moments are a great example of the miracle nature and the cruelty of the NCAA tournament. Because you make a good play, it's an amazing play. It's memorable forever. You make a bad play, it's amazing, and people remember it forever. But good for JP Peaks.
It's amazing after 160 games he makes that pass.
Knocking that down, yeah. I mean, and Furman hadn't been in the tournament in 40-something years, and to not only get to the tournament but win a game and win it, and it just kind of kicked the whole thing off, right? It was one of the early games.
It was, yeah.
So it was like 1:30 on Thursday, and you're watching one of the great moments of the tournament.
Right?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great moment, a great play.
All right, that is our Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love heating and cooling. We have more to get to, right, Derek?
Yep, who's cooking? We got quick hits still coming up. Bite or Bull Bleep, and we're going to make some drinks in studio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, with somebody that is more of a drink connoisseur than either you or I, so he's going to show us how to do it.
Okay.
It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Introducing an old-fashioned that's ready to go when you are. An old-fashioned that you can make anywhere, anytime. Add 3 ounces of your favorite spirit plus 1 of our sugar cubes to make a consistent bar-quality old-fashioned without a mixologist. We use the finest bitters, organic crystallized brown sugar, and orange in our cubes. That's it, because that's everything the perfect old-fashioned needs. Online at yourgrandpasoldfashioned.com or on social media at YG Old Fashioned.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Financial Group presents Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jay Corey, I'm Derek Schultz. 353-2141 and BAWFG.com for Mike Wood and his team, opening up 3 more Indiana branch locations. Check the website. I don't even know. I think there are over 20 now. Indiana branch locations for Bailey & Wood Financial Group. 5-star customer service, and they're going to take care of you just like they've taken care of me. First home mortgage to get pre-approved, we went right to Mike, my wife and I, and that was way back in 2013.
And keeping their money right here in Central Indiana and helping out people in Central
Yeah,
Indiana.
doing great things. They're always involved in something charitable. And, you said that it's a charity for them sponsoring the show, but really it's not charity. This is a business partnership. So they do business, we do business, and we are both really good at getting business done. Bailey & Wood and Corey and Schultz.
You get a lot of business done at Princeton?
Well, not on campus there. That wouldn't be appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We've got other features to get to, including our friends at Lou Malnati's, whose cooking segment. Loved the grand opening today. Got to cut the ribbon, take some pictures, shake some hands.
That was one of your bucket list items.
Kiss some babes, see some viewers, high-five some listeners.
Okay.
A lot of fun over there at Avon. Now 5 Central Indiana locations for Lou Malnati's, 6 in Indiana because they've got one up in the region in Cherville as well. So now 6 locations for Lou Malnati's with the grand opening. In Avon, we've got our delivery code right up there, QNS, FreeDel23.
There it is right there.
Yep.
Right?
Looks good. So free delivery. Even if you're calling in the order and you're not placing it online, go ahead and just tell them that code, and they will give you free delivery any of those Central Indiana locations. I'll be totally honest here for our Who's Cooking this week. World Baseball Classic has been far, far off my radar.
Most people.
It's basketball season. Like I'm not ready for baseball yet. I get the diehard baseball people like WBC, and that's great. And it's cool that this has become an event that is something to look forward to. Baseball needs more events for people to look forward to. But Trey Turner's been crazy in this event. He's hit 4 homers, the most of any American in any WBC, and he went yachts twice against Cuba in the semifinal in a 14-2 rout. So here's a dude that signed a $300 million deal and is batting 9th in the lineup, and he's just launching homers left and right. So it really is. It's a loaded American lineup, and good for Trey.
Do you want to know who I'm picking for my Look Who's Cooking?
Who?
A team in the NCAA tournament that I've always kind of liked. Always kind of liked them. Back when I was in high school, they kind of had a moment. I always thought they were kind of cool. They've kind of been underachieving this year. They probably had an underachieving year, but they were also banged up. Now they're healthy. Healthier. And I don't think they're going to win. They might win one more game in the tournament. I don't think they're going to go to the Final Four. But they had to do some pretty good things to get here. You're looking at the bracket, aren't you?
Trying to figure it out. Somebody that you liked. They're banged up. They had a moment. Oh, Arkansas? Yeah, there it is. Yeah, they were. I mean,
Woo!
93,
Pig suey.
93, 94, 95, they went, didn't they go Final Four championship game?
Yeah, so they Nolan Richardson first broke through when I was in high school with Todd Day and Lee Mayberry and Oliver Miller. That group played Georgia Tech in the Final Four in 90. Then I'm trying to think, 94 they won it with Scotty Thurman.
95 they went back and lost, right, to UCLA.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Corliss Williamson, Scotty Thurman.
Yeah, that was the Ed O'Bannon team,
Yeah.
right? And then 96.
Did they go?
No, 96 was the Final Four with Syracuse, Mississippi State, UMass, and Kentucky.
Yeah. 96, I think that was their last Sweet 16 until Musselman came in.
That might have been right.
So they kind of went away for 25 years.
And I have no idea if he has, like, skeletons in the closet, but I like Musselman.
He apparently is a handful to deal with. Like, I don't know if he's like a super intense guy. I don't know if he's a bad guy per se, but like,
okay,
kind of like, remember, Crean could be difficult because he was just, I don't know if he's weird or what the deal with, just intense, like all the time, turned up to 10 all the time. I mean, the guy took his shirt off, Musselman. I mean,
right.
He is turned up all the time, but the dude can coach. That's for sure. And that was a great win for that program. And they have a great fan base.
They do.
And they've
always
always
it's the only show in town, right?
Yeah, they've always had a great home court at that Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah.
So good for Arkansas. Good showing for them. Who's
Pig
cooking?
soup.
I don't mind that one for who's cooking. That's a good who's cooking.
There you go. I'm gonna be like the guys do.
Yep.
Okay.
Let's get to our quick hits. It's the best team against the best player for the 4A state title in boys hoops in Indiana.
He's pretty good, man.
Ben Davis looking to become the 11th team ever to
Run
complete
the
an
table?
undefeated season. They are 32-0, and they're taking on Flory Badunga and Kokomo, who is one of the top players nationally in the junior class and a dominant presence. And Kokomo's got a great fan base and a great basketball program. Other matchups, Southwood versus Lutheran in 1A, Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian, Linton Stockton in 2A, Northwood Garin in 3A. How about Southwood in 1A? They started 0-5, and they were 7-12, and they haven't lost since. That's pretty cool. Great run for them in 1A. Let me ask you this for our next quick hit.
Started what?
Southwood in 1A started 1-5, and they were 7-12 at one point this season, but they've won 8 straight, and now they're going to play for a state championship. Cool. I don't know what they were. They're playing a lot of 2 and 3A schools, so maybe that record doesn't indicate how good they are. Do you remember the gas mask guy from the NFL draft, Laramie Tunsil?
Oh yeah.
Laramie Tunsil just became the highest paid offensive lineman in the entire NFL.
Oh yeah. I mean,
he's a great player. Great player. 3-time Pro
Everybody
Bowler.
had to make their statement, right? That they weren't gonna draft
$75
him.
million, 3-year extension, $30 million signing bonus, $50 million fully guaranteed. So my man was taking bong rips 10 minutes before the draft.
No, that was an old video.
I know, but 10 minutes before the draft, right? It broke that night.
Right.
That's what was so crazy about it. And now he's got $50 million in the bank, guaranteed, can't take it away.
And that's with Houston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him. I mean, he fell a couple of spots, maybe because
He fell
of
a
that.
lot.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think he ended up being like the
It's like
15th
Randy
or
Moss.
16th
Everybody's
pick.
like, we're going to show that we do it different around here, not select Randy Moss. Okay.
Dude,
Well, that
Warren
worked out.
Sapp. Remember?
Sapp, Yeah.
Warren Sapp was picked like 11th, I think, wasn't he? Or 12th?
He was later than that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild. And who cares? Look, I mean, I don't think you should take video of yourself doing rips, allegedly, if that, I don't know if that was ever confirmed to be him or whatever else or whatever he was smoking, but, to pearl clutch about something like that, it seems kind of trivial to me. But you know my feelings on the marijuana discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I know this one hits to you just like it does to me. Rest in peace to Lance Reddick, the acclaimed actor, best known for his role on The Wire as Lieutenant Cedric Daniels. Passed away at the age of 60.
Have they said yet what he
No,
died of?
I
They
mean,
just said-
I saw natural causes, but
I mean, I am certainly aware of the possibility of a heart attack.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah, natural causes at 60 when you're in fairly good shape doesn't,
Right.
people
Well,
just say that to keep everybody
Natural
on.
causes simply means that there was not an external force that
Yeah.
contributed to your passing. Great actor, though.
Yeah, he
actually
was.
tweeted me once.
Really?
Well,
Cool.
he replied to a tweet.
He was in other things, too, besides The Wire. He was in John Wick. He apparently was going to be in a Disney Plus series. I'm not sure if they pre-taped enough of that for him to still appear in that because it was supposed to debut later this year. But you saw all the praise and thoughts and prayers and all of that kind of pouring in. So clearly he was a well-liked guy.
Yeah.
Well-liked
Good
guy.
actor.
Not only respected, but well-liked.
Bite or bowl bleep next?
Yep, and we're going to make some drinks
Okay.
in here. Sorry, let's get that in post. Nobody says drinks anymore. It's not 2009. 3, 2, 1. We're going to make some drinks in here.
Okay.
Get crunk.
Okay.
Actually, let's get that too. Nobody says crunk anymore. Forget it. It's Corey and Schultz. We're going to drink a little bit. ISC Sports Network. Get crunked up. Get crunked up.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Back for a final time. It's Corey and Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports Network.
Now,
Alongside
why is he
Corey,
wearing
I'm
a
Derek Schultz.
headset?
Well, we don't have a third mic, so we have
That's
to do
correct.
the headset for you guys. Know JD from at home. JD works at ISC, does a lot of play-by-play here on the network, and has been around as a TV guy in the area as well. But we're really excited. Not that we're not always excited to have JD with us in the studio, because you're usually
Yeah,
sitting on the
usually
other side
back
of the
there.
glass, right?
Yep.
But we're gonna make some drinks here. We're gonna make some old fashions, which actually is one of my favorites.
Is
Now,
that right?
honestly-
Is this what you'd had at the Final Four when I came back and you were fighting people?
No, I was drinking.
Those were Manhattans, right?
No, it wasn't Manhattan's. What are those? Not Tom Collins. What's that famous place down there in New Orleans where we went on Bourbon Street?
O'Brien's.
Pat O'Brien's. Yeah, it was their famous drink. Wasn't it like a
Hurricanes.
hurricane or something? Yeah.
So you were like IU, couldn't handle your hurricanes.
I guess yeah. I could not. I had a little too much, but it was New Orleans, right?
Right.
This is more for just enjoying, sitting
Yes.
back,
Yes.
relaxing weekend, not
Just hanging out.
binging in New Orleans. But why don't you tell us all about your grandpa's old fashioned?
Yeah, so my grandfather came up with a recipe in the 40s, and he was running a bar. Basically had this powder that you could scoop into a drink to make an old-fashioned perfect every time. During the pandemic, we saw the recipe book, decided to put it in cubes, bottle it up. Last September, we launched. We're in all 50 states and on Amazon. And, yeah, I'm going to show you how to make them.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking,
Sure thing.
an old fashioned is typically what?
So an old-fashioned is usually bourbon, bitters, ice, obviously, and then you've got you can put sugar in it like simple syrup or other flavors like cinnamon,
I've always
clove,
known
that sort
simple
of thing.
syrup. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is though, it's so hard for me to describe because everyone makes it different. And so with this, you have the old fashioned all ready to go. in a
I
cube.
think that's always kind of been the problem with an old fashioned is ordering it. I don't order it when I'm out because you don't really know what you're going to get. Sometimes they're way too sweet. Sometimes
Right.
they're not sweet at all.
That's
And
right.
with these cubes, at least I'm kind of guaranteed the consistency of knowing what
Yes.
that flavor and what that sweetness is going to be.
Absolutely right. All right. So
So this has so you said there's different variations of sugar. This uses a brown sugar, right?
yes, organic crystallized brown sugar in ours. Really simple because that's what an old fashioned should be. So we've got ingredients on the bottom, but basically it's just brown sugar, orange bitters, orange extract, vanilla, and that's pretty much it.
Let's
So,
do it.
Yeah, let's
Here,
do it.
JD's going to do
All
it,
right.
and then I'm going to try to mimic what he's
Okay.
doing.
So
online.
really simple. So you don't need all this special equipment at home. Nope. You could do it with just a spoon or a fork or whatever. So take 1 cube into there.
Did you
Really
sanitize
simple.
your hands, Derek?
Yeah, I did.
That's what the alcohol's for, right?
It'll burn it all off.
Yeah, it'll burn it off. Take your muddler and just crush.
Muddler?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
cool.
what
I
this
didn't
is
know.
called.
I didn't
Yeah,
know this
yeah.
thing. I thought it was just a mashy thing. I didn't
Yeah.
know it had a thing.
Take your mashy thing,
Okay.
and it helps
Enough?
if you.
Stir
there you
it,
go.
twist it a little bit.
Twist it
There
a
we
little bit.
go. All right.
Yep, just get it all
Cool.
in there. Then we're gonna take 2 ounces of our unlabeled bourbon.
Okay.
What could it be?
You know that bourbon and whiskey, Derek. You know this, right?
Oh, Jake is not a bourbon and whiskey guy.
No. All bourbons are whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the
knew that.
exact
Yeah.
rules. I think my parents do. Not
And
me.
then look at
Well,
these
it has to be charred.
fancy stirs.
Bourbon, specifically speaking, is whiskey that is then aged inside of a charred barrel, typically in Kentucky.
And then just stir it up, right?
Yep.
Now, what am I doing here?
Just stir it up for a minute.
Okay. Well, does that have to be the full minute?
Nope.
Now, do you have to use a big spoon like this?
Nothing.
Yes. Oh,
Use
okay.
a finger.
No,
You can use whatever you got.
I like the fancy
It smells
spoon.
wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I
Now,
got ice.
now, let me ask you. You said typically like an ice cube goes in here with it, or
Yeah.
no?
Yeah, and I've got big ice cubes.
Oh,
Should we run them
sweet.
out?
The big
yeah,
ones? Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
Let me get those real
Oh,
quick.
sorry.
Yeah.
We threw JD in here totally on the fly.
And again,
And he
this
was like,
is
and you
your
guys,
grandpa's old fashioned is
you,
what this
you
is
guys,
called.
your grandpa's oldfashioned.com, by the way. And he was like, you guys could just make these drinks on your own. I said, we can't be trusted to do anything. You have to come.
He really
No,
did
I'm
bring
just
in-
thankful for all the
face here.
exposure we're going to get from this.
Look at that.
Big ice cube for you.
Awesome. Oh, that's all right.
You know
Not
what?
the- not the first time we've
well
had a
with the
spill.
beer that Derek spilled here.
Not the
last week.
first
Okay,
time.
here we go.
I'll put this one in
Splashdown.
a little more gently.
There we go.
All right, guys. Drink up. Enjoy. Give it a shot.
I'm a big fan of the. Now, how long did it take to freeze the ice there?
Oh, this was like a 2-day process. I had to order these on Amazon. And
Very good. You can taste the brown sugar element of it, I think.
that's good. Are you much of an old-fashioned drinker?
I'm an old fashioned kind of guy all the way around.
I like it.
You know what? I didn't
like it a
actually really get into bourbon until my 50th birthday. My friend Scott McConnell bought me a bottle of bourbon and said he drove down from Chicago for my birthday, and he said, I didn't get you anything, and there's a liquor store across the street, so I bought this for you on the way here. And then, so I thought, okay, and then I started enjoying it.
I'm not one of those like vintage bourbon whiskey like collector guys, drinking it every night or anything like that. But that is my drink of choice when
There you go.
of the hard spirits. I
Actually, you
guess.
know what's good about that is it kind of softens the bourbon. Does that
That's
make sense?
exactly right. Yeah. So if you're not much of a bourbon drinker, my wife not much of a bourbon drinker, but she likes that because it just cuts the edge right off, and it can make it anybody who likes drinking alcohol is gonna.
I just
that.
feel like more, which is hard to do because I'm pretty intelligent as it is. I feel like more cultured and intelligent when I drink an old fashioned.
Sure.
You ever like,
I'll
you know what I
take
mean?
it.
Like it's just
I'll
kind of
take
like yeah, I'm having an old fashioned. Look at me. You know what I mean? You don't feel that way?
Derek, trust me. Anytime I'm around you, I feel old in general.
It's great. Very good.
Awesome.
Your
All right,
grandpa's
guys.
oldfashioned.com.
Check
and
them out.
And you can ship anywhere,
Yeah,
correct? Okay.
anywhere, and we're adding to Amazon soon. And you saw
Awesome.
the commercial a second ago. We'll put the social media up. But,
Great. Now,
thank you guys for having me
Thanks,
on.
JD.
is there a
Appreciate it.
price point?
So those online are about $20. We're going to launch next week, and I'm spoiling it here. We're going to launch a promo code for Query and Schultz listeners.
Awesome.
But, yeah, about $20 for the big one.
Which is a heck of a deal because that's like a long. I mean, you know what I mean?
It's like 16 standard drinks.
Yeah.
So you can find us at the Indy Farmers Market or on Amazon or on our
Farmers
website.
Market too. Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit that a lot.
All over.
Right,
All
there in Midtown.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate
JD.
it.
Appreciate it. I guess they moved from Midtown. They were in the Broad Ripple Farmers Market, but now or Broad Ripple High School, but then they moved over to that gigantic church on Meridian, and that's north of Midtown technically.
Second Pres.
Yeah, Second Pres. Yeah, I mean that thing is massive. It's like a complex more than it is a church.
Second Pres.
Your grandpa's oldfashioned.com. So this is
Not
great.
to be confused with John Adams. Also the second Pres.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, wasn't he?
I thought it was Jefferson was third, wasn't he? Yeah. Okay.
And then
Yeah, you had
JQ
that
was
right.
fourth.
Yeah. This it smells in here like
So
college.
much for them smarts you got, Derek. It smells like what?
We'll have to get that footage from Vince of the splashdown of the cube where it went. Not the first time. This table's been through it a little bit. This has been a good sturdy table for us and for our show. But I really do, because I'm not much of a like just straight sip it on ice. I need something right to make it
Right.
a little more, I don't know, palatable or whatever else. And these cubes here from JD and your grandpa's old fashioned, really, really tasty. So check them out online and get them shipped. We have listeners and viewers, international, national, the whole deal. So they need to, not just in Indiana, they need to ship them anywhere.
Okay. International.
Let's get to Buy or Bow Bleep.
Well, I
Chateau
guess in
Kitchens
Australia.
at my house this week, working on the basement. They got everything framed in. electricity and drywall and some of the other things they got going on this week. But if you got a big project for Chateau Kitchens on the interior of your home, whether it's a basement, a bathroom, kitchen, whatever it is, I mean, they are Chateau Kitchens after all. Give them a call or visit them online, chateaukitchens.com.
How's the basement coming?
It's coming great.
Okay.
Yeah, coming great. Everything framed in already. Over the last 2 weeks, they've done all the frames. There's a lot of lumber and a lot of framing. But Steven, the owner, Ryan, my project manager, Megan, our project designer, all great. Wonderful people to work with. It's a great family atmosphere. They're going to guarantee their work. They take care of you just like they have taken care of me so far. Check out the before and after pictures of all the projects that Chateau has done at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram, at Chateau Kitchens on Facebook. Here's what we do. Butter Bull Bleep, I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's Bull Bleep. You ready for statement one?
Okay.
Gardner Minshew will start at least one game for the 2023 Colts. Butter Bull Bleep.
All in. Buy it. 100% guarantee lock of the century.
I'm going to say Bull Bleep.
Okay.
I'm going to say Bull Bleep. I think they're going to draft Richardson or Levis, and I think that's going to be your week one starter. And I'm being overly optimistic here. I think they're going to, A, remain healthy, and B, be effective enough to stay as a starter. So I'm going to say Bull Bleep.
I do think it's going to be
look,
Levis.
you're probably right. Like, if you were to do a percentage odds that Gardner Minshew starts one game, it'd probably be, like, in the high 70s, right?
Right.
Just given that we don't even know for sure that the Colts are going to draft a quarterback. But I'm going to lean towards being optimistic here, and I think the rookie's going to take care of business, so I'll say no. Statement 2, Indiana will not make the NCAA tournament next year. Buy it or Bull Bleep?
I buy that.
Ooh. It's hard to know, right? Because we don't know what the roster is going to look like.
And who knows what the transfer portal is going to – but as of right now, with who they would have coming back, I will buy it.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here, and with Xavier Johnson back –
it's a good point.
And some of those pieces, Malik Renew really flashed early in the year. It wasn't until he kind of
late, but
hit the wall, and with an expanded role, he's got a lot of talent. You saw it. I think they're going to be an NCAA tournament team, but I think you're looking at if Indiana's the 9 seed next year, that's probably a good year.
Right.
With where we sit today. Expectations can always change, but with where we sit today, like being in the 8-9 game or the 7-10 game is probably a good spot for Indiana to be in 2024. So I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna say that they are an NCAA tournament team. And that's the thing about Woodson, Jake, is that as much as this exit disappoints me, and I kind of threw water on the idea that this was a great season for Indiana, it was a season where they made progress. Like he is continuing to take them forward.
That's true.
People don't understand, I don't think, how down Indiana was in the Archie Miller era.
They're in a good spot. I mean,
Archie Miller era was a disaster.
Right. Comparatively speaking, they're in a good place.
And he's cleaned up a lot of that mess in 2 years. Statement 3, you know this better than I do. You were out. St. Patrick's Day is the sloppiest day of the year for old people. Buy it or Bull Bleep?
Well, no. For old people?
Yeah. I mean, old people's like you, Jake.
Jimmy Buffett concert's number one.
Yeah, but that's not like a holiday.
Then, yes, St. Patrick's Day is.
Okay,
yes.
not everybody likes Buffett.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day.
What would even be?
New Year's Eve's up there.
Yeah, but I feel like New Year's Eve has a classiness to it.
And I would agree. St. Patrick's Day, there are too many people that think it just means carte blanche to do whatever.
New Year's Eve, you usually wear something nice, and sometimes you have dinner included. St. Patrick's Day, you throw on a hoodie, you pound whiskey, and you punch people in the face. Like that there are two different vibes around those two holidays, I feel like.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done that. I mean, I can and I have, but not that I've ever done that. No, not at Princeton.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Different wrestling around going on down there. Yeah, a little bit different. Thanks to our great sponsors today. Your grandpa's old fashioned. This is great. And thanks to JD for coming on the show. He's like, yeah, I worked out a deal with Rakestraw. And I was like, buddy, you need a deal on the show. You come to moi. Here. Don't go to Rake for that.
He knows what he's doing.
Because JD's friend of the show. Everybody here is friend of the show. Chateau Kitchen's friend of the show. Hoagies and Hops, friend of the show. Love Heating and Cooling, friend of the show. Bailey and Wood, Financial Group, friend of the show.
Very smooth.
And Lou Malnati's friend of the show as well. For Vince, for Jordan, for JD, for Jake, I'm Derek. We will see you next time here on Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Who picked Suey?
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here. Throw it up for Tillman.
Oh, my goodness. 122.60 for Penn.
What a swim!
Six of them.